pitch, it's a good idea to learn the pitch in reverse, starting with the small muscles and ending with the larger muscles. First, warm up overhand and make sure that you do active stretches and try to get your heart rate up. There are two main grips. The first is the foreseam, where your middle finger is along the equator of the ball, where you see a C or a backward C. The second grip is the two-seam grip. It's where the seams come closest together. You put your middle finger and your pointer finger on top of the seams. The two-seam grip is faster. The four-seam grip has more natural movement. If you like the idea of the two-seam grip, but the four-seam grip fits better into your hand, since the two-seam grip is better suited for larger hands, you can always switch to where you see the lowercase n and you place your pointer finger, your middle finger, and your ring finger along the top of the seams of the lowercase n. The first drill is to learn how to release the ball. We learn the pitch in reverse, as if we're taking a small piece of the pie, gradually adding each piece of pie until you build the whole pie. So with wrist snaps, it's important to know that this is isolating the finger push in the pitch. The wrist snap is actually a follow through. So just the very first twitch of the snap is the release. It is important to note in this first drill that this works on the fast twitch, the middle and pointer finger, pushing the ball. The speed is based on how fast this push happens. The release happens under the throwing arm side hip of the pitcher. The first stick drill isolates the finger push, teaching the pitcher a very important concept of a short, twitchy release, not a long, slow push. And most of my beginners that I have taught, it is hard to get them out of the slow push because they want to aim the ball. This drill, it is important to keep the belly button facing the catcher. The stick is perpendicular to the power line. The power line is if you took the middle of the home plate, the middle of the pitcher's mound, drew an imaginary line, that is our power line. You want to keep your belly button forward facing down the power line and the stick perpendicular to the power line. You want to keep your feet staggered so that your stride leg, which is opposite from throwing arm leg, is staggered in front of the glide leg. And the glide leg is the same leg as the throwing arm side leg. The stick in this drill is placed on the wrist, isolating only the wrist snap. In the next drill, the stick will be placed in the elbow to emphasize the elbow stopping before the release. So it's important to note that there is a difference in this drill and the next stick drill that I'm about to show you. I recommend to do about 50 of these and 50 of the next drill, which emphasizes the elbow stopping at the hip using the stick. An important side note on this drill and the next drill is to make sure that the thumb is on top on the release, so you are teaching the pitcher to internally rotate their forearm into their hips. And on this next stick drill, you'll see that PVC pipe is in the crease of the elbow, stopping the elbow before the release. This happens naturally turning the forearm in so that the pitcher internally rotates the arm and the elbow catches, meaning stops before the release. The thumb will be on top and the pointer finger and middle finger will shoot through the equator of the ball. Since this drill is more true to the pitch than the first stick drill, it is a good idea to take the back heel, which is your right heel if you're right-handed, and lift it. If you prefer, use a swimming noodle and it cushions the elbow a little. The next drill is done without a stick, and your toes are on a power line, back heel lifted, belly button forward facing, and your stride leg toe at a 35 to 45 degree angle. You start with your body position at a T with palm up, and you step into what looks more like a body position of a K, retracing down into the arm circle, applying the wrist snap under the right hip. Although you are welcome to do more, I only have my pitchers do about 10 from T to K drill, and I have them do a larger quantity at 3/4, or some pitchers call it Frankenstein drill. And the reason that I have them do more at Frankenstein versus T to K is because in Frankenstein it's a little bit easier to control the two planes. The two planes meaning vertical and horizontal. The horizontal plane is controlled by the arm circle swoop. It is also controlled a little bit by spin, but we can get to that later. Controlling the arm circle will give it direction inside, down the middle, or outside. The vertical plane controls the height of the pitch, whether it's too high or too low, or if it's perfect. And that is the point of release, where the pitcher is releasing and how they are releasing. It is important to note on the Frankenstein drill that the hips and shoulders are facing the catcher, the wrists are even, both left wrist and right wrist, and the feet are staggered on the power line with the left toe still at your 35 to 45 degree angle. The back heel is heel lifted and parallel to the power line. The pitcher will start this drill by starting with a step, circling her arm over her head with her step landing in T position, her elbow stopping at her hip to start the catapult and releasing under the right hip. As her arm is circling in the bottom half of the circle into the release, her back knee, which if you're right-handed is your right knee, will glide in on the tip of the big toe, knee to knee. Two common problems that I find in beginner pitchers a lot is first that the pitcher will tend to throw towards their throwing arm side, meaning if you're right-handed, they will throw a lot of pitches off their hip to the right. It is a good idea to have that pitcher focus on throwing outside corner right-handed batter if they are right-handed, so that they can find the path of the arm circle that will eventually lead them down the middle, because sometimes what feels right is wrong. Also, another common problem is posture. And I see a lot of pitchers leaning over, shoulders over toes, or leaning over, shoulders over toes, or forwards towards their target, so that they can come through and push and aim, which is actually easier to throw a strike, but bad form. There are many different drills that you can do at the Frankenstein position that will help the pitcher out in learning the path of the arm circle so that they throw straighter and not so far inside and outside, as well as posture problems, keeping their shoulders over their hips. Another variation of the Frankenstein drill is to flip the feet so that the right leg is in front if you are right-handed and the left leg is in back. And then starting from Frankenstein position with the arms out in front, remember loose arm, fast arm. It is a pull into a whip. You stride out with your left leg if you're right-handed, circling the arm overhead and releasing at the right hip. So it's just getting that little tiny torque of that rotation from the right leg in front to left leg in front, and adding that in there really helps the pitcher out figure out where her arm circle should be, because sometimes that little bit of a turn or that little bit of a change can throw your right-handed pitcher off further to the right, or left-handed pitcher off further to her left. When you learn full pitch, it is important to know your local rules as far as how to pitch, because from park to park here in Georgia, they are different, because the park itself is the governing body of rules instead of, say, SSSA or PGF. I start my girls off with the right leg in front if they are right-handed, left leg in front if they are left-handed, and then if they're right-handed, their left leg back off the mound about a foot, or whatever is comfortable to that pitcher. Here in Georgia, the pitcher is not allowed to take her signal off the mound, so make sure that your girls always stand on the mound to present the ball without taking signals from behind the mound. Although our travel ball rules are different, around here in Georgia, the pitcher must make sure that she gets onto the mound with the ball outside of the glove. Since each park and each travel ball organization will have different rules, I recommend to approach the umpire before the game and make sure that you have the rules straight before the game begins. Now to present the ball. The pitcher will place the ball in the glove to get her grip and keep it in front of the hips. I don't like it when the pitchers go up to their chest with their elbows out to the side, because it looks very unnatural and tense. It is important for the pitcher to take a long, deep breath and make sure that they're breathing out longer than they breathe in so that they are relaxed. Then they start with a kickstand up, so their back heel, that is your left heel if you're right-handed, is up to the sky. They will drop it as they go into the backswing, sinking down into their legs into what's called a sprinter stance in the backswing. It is a good idea to flex the toe up to the sky before extending it down to the ground so that the pitcher feels like they are rolling over the tip of the big toe as they are going into the sprinter stance. As the pitcher transitions from the backswing to the upswing, she will reverse posture, keeping her arms inside her shoulders as she comes up into the upswing with a loose arm, with the ball on the inside of the circle so that she is pulling the ball, not pushing. As she is circling her arm overhead, she wants to try to keep her arm long and loose. When her stride leg touches down, her arm should be at about a T position. She's going to activate her posterior chain by driving in knee to knee as fast as she can. The glove arm should remain equal but opposite to the throwing arm, coming in and flexing as the pitcher goes into the release. The pitcher should be striding one foot directly in front of the other on the power line and never to the glove arm side, because that will slow up the pitch. If she is slightly staggered to her throwing arm side, it is not a big deal because she is creating a hip angle for a faster whip. After the release comes the follow-through. A good loose arm follow-through is very important because the deceleration can be very stressful on the joints. A good cue for a good follow-through is kiss the hand. A lot of pitchers look like their arm is coming through and shaking out into the release. That is because their arm is loose and fast.